So jot this down, how to be effective in persuasion. It's one thing to present, it's another thing to persuade. Cicero was a great orator of the past. When he spoke, everyone said, what a great speech. He was one of the best. Demosthenes was also a great orator of the past. When he spoke, everybody said, let us march. What a difference in presentation and persuasion. So to become a good persuader, here's what you've got to learn to do. Jot these notes down now. Here's number one. Become a good storyteller. One of the best ways to be persuasive is to tell stories. Your story, someone else's story. Be a collector of stories. If you're going to talk to teenagers, you've got to have a bunch of teenage stories. If you're going to talk to young married people, you've got to have a bunch of young married people's stories. If you're talking to senior citizens, you've got to have some stories. If you're talking business, you've got to have business stories. If you're talking sales, you've got to have sales stories. Here's the key. Become a good storyteller. Jesus was one of the best storytellers. He said, the kingdom of heaven is like... Now, if he would have said the kingdom of heaven is, nobody would probably have been able to understand. That would have been too abstract. But here's what he said. The kingdom of heaven is like a family. It's like a bride and a bridegroom. It's like a mother and a father. It's like children. Wow. See, we can understand that. We can relate to that. Not tell us what it is, but tell us what it's like. See, that is so effective, what it's like. It's like this, and it's like this, and it's like a mother, and it's like a father, and it's like the children. Wow, we get it. Become a good storyteller. Here's another key in persuasion. Be sure you deal in accurate facts. If you want to be an ultimate persuader, you do not deal in exaggeration. Never. It erodes self-confidence, number one. It erodes reputation, number two. It erodes your effectiveness, number three. Exaggeration is usually the childish attempt to make up for lack of self-worth. If you have plenty of self-worth and self-confidence, you don't need to inflate the numbers. You don't need to exaggerate. Not necessary. Someone says, well, I'll throw any numbers around to get the job done. You don't want that reputation. Number two, you don't want that feeling. Here's what the prophet said. Some things that taste like honey in the mouth later turns bitter in the belly. Sweet in the mouth, but later bitter in the belly. So exaggeration, unnecessary to people who have high self-confidence, self-worth. Next, if you're giving facts, someone's life may be at stake. Make sure they're correct. If you're giving testimony in a trial, if they catch you in one lie, guess what they do with the rest of your testimony? They throw it all away. How can we trust you? You say, well, this is the only time I lied. Hey, how can we trust that? Here's the key. Don't let lies taint your testimony. One, simply because of the damage it does to the psyche, to your own well-being. You may not harm someone else, particularly with lies and exaggeration, but the greatest harm will come to yourself. Unnecessary to use as a tool. Here's what's next. And that is quotes. One of the best ways to be effective is to borrow. What if someone else has said it well, why not borrow it? You notice I quote some lyrics from songs. Might as well borrow. William Bailey, I love to borrow from him because he said so many things and he said them so well. I borrow. Elton John sings, she lived her life like a candle in the wind, never knowing who to cling to when the rain set in. See, you don't need to say, you said that. Just say, Elton John sings. It's just as effective if you use someone else and give them credit. Here's what's effective. The lyrics is what's effective. You can't describe how fragile and brief life is much better than that. It's unique. George Harrison sings, if not for you, the winter would hold no spring. Couldn't hear a robin sing. I just wouldn't have a clue if not for you. The lyrics, the songs, the words, you borrow. Somebody has a birthday. We go to the store and buy a card hoping maybe somebody thought of a way to say what we want to say better than perhaps we could say it ourselves. We borrow a verse, we borrow a line, we borrow a message, which is good to borrow. But here's the key. Don't always borrow. See if you can't put it in words. Say it. When my wife Judy and I parted ways, I wrote a little note. I said, "Dear Judy, as often as the night comes, so does my sadness. As constant as the day arrives, so is my love for you. I wish for you and I wish the best for you, and I understand that dilemma. The mixture of both love and sadness startles me. My life is here where you touched me. If ever you should call, I will be there to be touched again." It wasn't very long, but I tried to express in a few words what I was feeling at the moment. So if you got that message now, borrow, but don't always borrow. See if you can't send a note to a child, a note to someone, a letter at the right time. It might serve as something they'll keep forever. Put in your words. It doesn't have to be a sermon. It doesn't have to be a lengthy document. Just something that expresses from you yourself. Okay. Now to finish up, here's the rest of learning how to persuade. Next is straight talk. Tell it like it is. There's an ancient phrase that says, "The truth will set you free." There's nothing better than the truth. The best affirmation in the world is the truth. If you're broke, best thing to affirm is, "I am broke." Put that up on the refrigerator where you can see it every day. It'll drive you to the library, get a card, start your process of information. And if that doesn't work, put this up there: "I'm 40 and broke." Maybe that'll do it. If that still doesn't do it, say, "I live in America and I'm 40 and I'm broke. Something is wrong." Now you can begin to correct and start to be reborn into living a new life. Jot this down. The truth sets you free. Nothing better than the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth. Because the truth is both sides. Truth is we can become victims of our choices, but the truth also is you can turn it around overnight. That's also the truth. Truth is we don't have good health because we've made poor choices on diet and whatever. But the truth is you can start a new plan immediately, today, and never be the same again as far as health is concerned. And you can be marching on the road to good health starting today, having left the old way behind. That's also the truth. The truth is you will be a victim if you don't make wise choices. That is the truth. And the truth is we do sit in the mess we've created because of things that have happened and we weren't clear about it and we let it all slide. That is the truth. There's nothing wrong with admitting that, because the truth also is you can change all of that starting today. You can have a new accelerated education starting today by picking up the next book and say, "I'm going to develop a library second to none." My mama taught an apple a day. Say, "By gosh, Jim Rohn's right. Munching your first apple, you say, I'm going to be healthy for the rest of my life." And you can say that from the very first apple. But anything short of that becomes delusion. Affirmation without discipline is the beginning of delusion. But the truth is, you can turn it around. The truth is, you can conquer anything. The truth is, you can come from nowhere and go somewhere. The truth is, you can come from nothing and become something. The truth is, you can take pennies and turn it into fortune. The truth is, you can be in command for the rest of your life. The truth is, you can have an influence that'll never quit. The truth is, you can have language that'll win in every situation. You can do it. That's the truth. So the key is to speak the whole truth. The difficulty caused by poor decisions, but the promise of the future by turning around and creating a new life starting today. That's also the truth. So jot this down. The truth helps us to correct old errors in judgment and set up new easy disciplines. The truth helps us to correct old errors. If you don't speak the truth, how can you correct old errors? But the truth also helps you set up new easy disciplines. Zig Ziglar said, one little step at a time, one little piece at a time, one day at a time. And a year from now, look where you'll be, one day at a time, making a few little changes, one day at a time, 1 year from now. Wow. Straight talk. We all need to hear it straight. Shof gave me that. So straight, so clear. Now here's the last one, and we're finished. And the last is challenge. If you'll learn to communicate challenge, and we could spend a whole series of time on this, learning to challenge children, learning to challenge your family, learning to challenge your organization, learning to challenge yourself. Let me just give you one little clue on challenge, maybe that'll help you in the future. Here's one of the best challenges of all. Let's go do it. Just underline that little word, let's go do it. We often say, you go do it, you go do it. But here's what's more powerful than that, let's go do it. Sometimes all by yourself, we find it a little difficulty to shake ourselves out of lethargy and make the changes and start a new track. But if somebody was to come along and say, come on, let's get healthy. Come on, let's jog every morning. Come on, let's read a book every week. Come on, let's attend a class we haven't attended before. Come on, let's go to the concerts that we've been missing all these years. Come on, let's go, let's go, let's go. Guess who I'm going to have a chance to go see at the end of this month? Buck Owens. Let your mind rest on that. The man himself. One of my goals is to meet Andrea Bocelli, but also one of my goals is to meet Buck Owens. And some of my friends have arranged it to where I'm going to meet him and have dinner with him and then sit and listen to his performance in Bakersfield, California. Buck, the man himself. But now here's the key. Let's do things we've never done before. Let's set some records that'll never be broken. Let's do something around the world. Let's do something across the street. Let's cover the state. Let's. That is so powerful. Let me give you now the Bible phrase that goes with it. Here's what it says. If 2 or 3 agree on a common purpose, nothing is impossible. Just let your mind rest on that one. If 2 or 3 agree on a common purpose, nothing's impossible. The most incredible things can be done if just 2 or 3 get together. You don't need 2 or 3,000. You don't need 2 or 300,000. Just 2 or 3. Old Testament says one can become so skillful and powerful they can defeat 1,000. But if 2 get together, they can defeat 10,000. Giving us the idea that perhaps it is very possible when 2 get together to multiply the power by 10. Not to multiply it by 2, but by 10. I'm asking you to try that. There's nothing like association. Yes, it's a little tricky. There's nothing like partnership. Yes, it's like marriage. It's a little tricky. But I'm telling you, when it works, it is one of the most powerful institutions in the world. The influence is mega. And when 2 or 3 agree on a common purpose, the powerful opportunity to create incredible abundance and productivity is mega. And we reserve the word mega for those that have learned to combine to do extraordinary things. Let's go do it. So I want to say to all of you, let's become more powerful than we ever have in the past. Let's learn to solve every problem that comes our way. Let us speak with clear thoughts and clear ideas and do things we've never done before. You and I can do it together. Okay, 20 minutes. Let's be back for the teenage session. Thank you very much.